Gump Report. A Gump Report. As you can hear, I still got this cough. My throat still feels hoarse on and off. On and off, not constant. So that means I'm getting better. The new medicine I'm taking seems to be helping. I'm getting there. As you can see, I'm still having the cough. And my throat will act up and I may go a little bit hoarse and then it goes away. Then it comes back a little bit and then it goes away. That's so annoying, but I am getting better. But I had to make this video because of someone who made a video about TNA. JD made a video on Scott D'Amore and TNA. Now, I saw most of his video. I didn't want to see all of it because I didn't want to take too much of his own perspective. And I wanted to be on my own. But I wanted to understand what he said. So I wouldn't, get too, not tainted, but what they would say, too caught up in what he feels is going on. And I got to tell you this. For the last week, since Scott's been gone, since this happened, I have more than one or two people talking about Scott, and one of you, you know who you are, saying stuff that made no damn sense. Because if I'm right, you know who you are. You went to Reddit. You didn't check the sites. Unlike me, who not only went to one site, I went to 8 sites. 8 different sites that had the proper information. And just in case you don't know, within the last 2 weeks, easily, because from what I understand, it's kind of debatable about when Scott knew he was going to be kicked out, but supposedly, somewhere during the month, Scott had a meeting with the head of Anthem, the CEO of Anthem, and they came to basically a crossroads, as it's said in the articles. Also, JD said it, but pretty much, what do you got? You got the owner of Anthem, who also owns, now rebranded TNA, saying to him, I want it like this. And Scott, generally speaking, said, we can't do it like that. We should do it like this. That's what this supposedly comes down to. Not because we still don't know if he did anything because a lot of reports saying, not reports, but rumors, reported rumors. Because that's what we got a lot of. And that's what some people was talking about on my comments. Most of it is rumor, no proof. Because we do not know if he acted like Vince McMahon. Because as far as it goes, because all the talent, and it's been stated in reports, every talent that was there loved Scott. Unlike Vince, they loved Scott. Many talent who had the shot, like Moose. Moose had the shot to go to WWE or AEW. He chose to re-sign not once, not twice, 3 times in the last more than a few years. He re-signed each and every time because he felt like Impact Wrestling, now TNA, was important and special, and he loved it. Many people have signed and re-signed with TNA because of Scott. That was the deal. Now, here's where a lot of people don't understand. One person, or I think 1 or 2 people, thought that he didn't know how he was working. He didn't know what he was doing. Anthem was paying for everything. Wrong. No, you are wrong. If anyone says Anthem was paying for all the stuff that's going, wrong. I've told you guys multiple times over the last few years. Anthem may be $1 billion company, does not mean they will give them $1 billion to work with. Anthem gave Impact Wrestling, before turning to TNA, again, a budget. That could be $1 million a year, $5 million a year, $7 million a year. I don't know what the amount is yearly, but the majority of their income was coming from the company itself. Understand how corporate works. When you got a parent company, they don't supply you with 90% of your money to be able to do what you need to do. No. You are part of a satellite company. There could be more than one company under the parent company that's a satellite company. That company, excuse me, that company gets a percentage, a certain budget that they get from the parent company for the basic operations. The rest of the budget has to come from whatever they do. In this case, pro wrestling. Money they get from merchandise, money they get from the arenas, money they get from the ticket sales, money they get from the pay-per-views. And part of whatever they get also goes back to the company to a certain extent, mostly due to stock. Because remember, these parent companies make more money through the stock market than they would getting money back from the satellite company. That's how they make their gains. More in stock market than they would actually get from money they would get from the actual satellite company. Doesn't mean that some satellite companies don't supply money back to the parent company. There are some corporations and companies or corporates that do that. I'm not saying that TNA did, but from what I know, you got Anthem, you got Impact Wrestling right here. They got a certain percentage from Anthem, not much, just probably the basic operations to make sure they keep the lights running and the basic amounts to be able to work on lighting, transportation, to repair any equipment, fuel, food, whatever, basic. But the more expensive stuff, like making sure that they can get pay-per-view buys done, or making negotiations with venues, or bringing in wrestlers, because what we got information on, as much as now the reports are that Anthem would not stop getting a Will Ospreay or a CM Punk. Remember, Anthem didn't give any money to go for CM Punk. Anthem didn't give any money for Will Ospreay. They only give them a certain percentage. It has already been reported through PW Insider at one point that Scott went back to Anthem CEO and made requests for more money. And every time he's been rebutted. And know what rebuttal means? No. No, it was reported that he went back multiple times to get an increase in his budget to be able to get what he needs. And they said no. So if Anthem was, as at least one or two people said, the one that was paying for everything, said no to Scott. Why? It made no sense. The only thing they had to do was increase the budget, 10%? If they were getting $2 million a year, maybe they can increase it to 2.5 or 3 million or 5 million. If he makes a pitch like, yes, to Braun Strowman. I know someone said, oh, Braun Strowman's not a good thing from WWE. Who cares? What you, my friend, male or female, never understand. What doesn't work for another company may work here. Like I said with Ash of Elegance, former Dana Brooke, what came with Trinity, we didn't know. Excuse me. Excuse me. Still, the throat's still messed up. We didn't know if Trinity was going to work, even though everyone loves Trinity. We didn't know if Nick Nimitz is going to work. People do like him, so there's a good chance he will work out pretty well. We don't know if Braun Strowman would have worked. I can't tell if he would. But look what happened when he came back to WWE. He became wildly popular. So your little theory went out the freaking window. I'm not trying to be mean, but the persons that made that statement saying Braun Strowman was never good, really? When Braun came back after becoming Titan, when he was kicked out with EC3, when he went back to WWE, how popular did he become with Ricochet? Can't tell me it didn't happen. It did. It did. So that went out the window. So you never know when a talent that didn't work in one company would work here. So saying that Anthem was paying for everything, they were not. They gave only a percentage of what they do for their operating costs. They weren't paying for talent unless they were willing to, and it was not reported once that they paid for CM Punk, that they tried to pay for Will Ospreay. That came from Impact Wrestling, not Anthem. So that means Scott must have saved as much money as possible from the budget, from the ticket sales, from the merchandise, from the pay-per-views, from either the Fightful app or the Impact Plus app, everything that he can get to try and pitch to CM Punk, who was somewhat receptive but chose not to, and Will Ospreay, who was receptive to a certain point but also turned it down. Whether it was enough for them both, I don't know how much he was offering them. But the point is, Anthem did not offer anything. Until PW Insider or anyone else, and you could show me the article, not the rumor that Anthem tried to pay the CEO of Anthem Entertainment, that means nothing. It's speculation. It's a rumor. What is written showed that he went back multiple times to Anthem for an increase in the budget, and they said no. Now, here's what we do know. The situation that I understand. What is the guy's name? I can't remember his name. But Anthem's CEO, after firing Scott D'Amore, after he made the request to buy TNA, because it was a legitimate offer, real money, and if anybody says he doesn't have that type of money, it's not the point. As I said in a comment yesterday, you believe Anthem has more money than Scott D'Amore. Please. Anthem is no better than Ted Turner's company. That bitch went under. That company practically went under until he did bankruptcy. And I believe it was Chapter 7 bankruptcy when the AOL agreement fell back in the 90s. And several other business lucrative things failed. He had to file for Chapter 7. And then he had to pretty much almost sell the company. So Anthem is no different than Ted Turner's company. At any time it can go under. So don't tell me none of it. Do not. And if you try, I'm going to say, don't tell me none of it. That's not true. What it comes down to, they did not take the offer. And it was a legitimate offer from a bank with a written letter from the bank that he went to. Probably maybe the Bank of Canada or whatever Canadian bank that is there, that he was able to get a fair offer for TNA. Instead of selling it to him, they said no. And the key of this entire situation, within a few days of him making the offer, he's gone. Now, if he's no different than Vince McMahon, he deserves to be gone. If he's done something to women, to men, he's abused them, he did some type of sexual stuff that he deserves to be locked up, so be it. But if he did nothing, and the president of Anthem and him could not agree on how they wanted to proceed since TNA reset itself, and he said, you're basically telling me you shouldn't be doing this? I own the damn thing. He says, look, it's better this way. He said, I don't give a fuck. Make it my way. And he says, no, because it won't work. I worked all these years with everyone in TNA, Impact, go to TNA, and now people care about us. He says no. He says, can you give me an increase in budget? He's told no. I want to buy TNA. This is what I'm offering. This is a fair offer. Will you give it to me? No. A few days later, you're fired. And now Ciccione, I think his name is Ciccione. Yeah, I think the guy's name is Ciccione. A guy that has no experience in wrestling. And if anybody says, oh, he worked in the score, means nothing. He did not work directly with WWE. He is not a WWE employee. He wasn't a TNA employee. He wasn't an RH employee. He was not an MLW employee or NWA. He has no experience. The only thing he knew is how to work when the score was on. In other words, when wrestlers were on, talking about wrestling, he was there to make sure the lights were working, the cameras were working, and they kept on their schedule of whatever they were going to talk about. Nothing about the business. And if anybody says that means, what about the 30 years he worked in digital media? It means nothing. Remember, Eric Bischoff did not work in wrestling. Eric Bischoff did not work in wrestling. Now, to Eric's credit, and I will always say that next to him trying to do this, did the same thing as Scott did now, but back then, when he saw the writing on the wall and everything and Ted Turner's stuff was going bad, and he tried to buy it, doesn't mean he was going to run it perfectly. You can say with Eric Bischoff, when he went into the business as a business major, working for Ted's company, that owned WCW, he learned the wrestling business. He learned about characters. He learned about how the wrestlers work. He learned about what it takes to get wrestlers. Look at all the people in WWF at the time that came over, got lucrative contracts, and he helped to write the NWO. He helped to write the Wolfpack. He helped to write for, not only for Hollywood Hulk Hogan, didn't do very well with Bret Hart, but you can easily say for everyone else, for Sting, he did learn how to write. This guy's never had it. And he's worked 30 years in digital media for the network, not wrestling. And here's where it gets interesting. It has already been reported. If anybody says that the wrestlers didn't care for Scott, you're lying. Or wherever you got the information, if you went to Reddit, that person's lying. Or you're lying. And I'm not saying anyone is lying that likes to leave it here, but if you go to Reddit, you cannot be 100% clear that Reddit is real. It has already been reported. When it came to Tommy Dreamer and Gail Kim, who are mainly the ones who book, who do most of the creative, didn't hear anything about Delirious. But they're the ones who deal with the creative side. And they had to do Zoom calls with everyone that's on the roster currently. And the minute they found out that Scott was gone, everybody was scared. Everyone was concerned, including Scott's girlfriend, Gazelle Shaw. Now, if you're going to say that's not a woman, stop. This is the person he's with. If you want to call him gay, it don't matter. If you want to call her gay, it don't matter. This is the person he had a relationship with. And if he didn't call her and tell it, she had to find out with everybody else. And that's going to be a hard thing for anyone to take. If there's someone they're having a relationship with, and they've been fired from the company that they built, or in this case, rebuilt from scratch, because it was so badly damaged his reputation. I'm sure Moose, Eddie Edwards, Alicia Edwards, Jordan Grace. Now, of course, Trinity is gone, so this didn't happen when she was there, because all the tapings were done in early January. Around early January into December before Hard to Kill. Everything was recorded before she left to go to Royal Rumble and now working in WWE again. All that was done before she left the company. But I'm sure if she was still there, even she would be concerned. Because we're talking about 100% a CEO and the guy he placed in charge to make the company better seem to not agree on stuff. And if the reports are correct, that over maybe the last year, he's asked for more money. He asked, look, we're beginning to get somewhere. I need more money to bring in more people, to buy new equipment, to really get some new equipment quickly so I can revamp the place. No. I want to try and buy new talent. I want to see if I can get CM Punk. I want to see if I want to get Will Ospreay. No. What do you want me to do? Do it this way. And it's not going to work. This is what Scott would say to the owner of Anthem. And he says, I don't give a fuck. You're going to do it my way. He says, look, we need to do it like this because this is the way the fans want it. You cannot do something against the fans. We'll lose them again. And what do we get? After that conversation, he learned, possibly within a couple of weeks to near a month, a couple of weeks probably, when maybe 10 to 15 days, he found out he's going to be replaced. So he went to a bank, tried to make an offer. No. And then you're fired. Now, what are we going to have with Cillian? President Cillian of TNA. Well, let's see what they were talking about in the article. One, he's now gone to the roster and he's had multiple meetings with them telling them to reassure them everything's going to be fine. Also, and this is where it gets interesting, well, you're going to see the similarities of this in WWE. Anthem Entertainment wants to expand TNA. And what do they want to do? They want to start showing TNA talent on different shows that's on their network. Even going to movies. What does this remind you? I mean, think carefully about this. Where did we hear a concept like that? Where did we hear a concept that, John Cena, The Miz, Randy Orton, they're going to do movies. Naomi did a movie. She was in it for about maybe 40 seconds. We got The Miz doing again movies. Oh, what did we hear that? WWE Studios, what happened to that? It's gone. You know why? It didn't help the company. Yeah, it made money going direct to DVD. It didn't go to the movie theaters. It went, in most cases, direct to DVD. Not all of them. Because like the Marine, it did go to, if I remember correctly, because that was around 2004 or 5, easily, or 6, it did go to the theater. But the rest went to pretty much direct to DVD. Did it actually help the company? No, because WWE Studios is gone. Where does this help TNA? It will help particular wrestlers to get more exposure, but will it help TNA? No. You know where it might help? Anthem. Anthem Entertainment, not TNA Wrestling, because let's make this really clear, crystal clear. We are talking about wrestlers like The Rock, like John Cena, and many others before them who were charismatic enough, who were capable enough to understand that the skills they have for wrestling can be applied to movies, to TV, to other forms of entertainment. And The Rock made the jump. The Rock became one of the most popular, unlike now, where I've already heard what's been going on with some of the speculation, actual reports where Rock has not been doing well in any of his movies. I will say that Black Adam wasn't as bad as many people because I have seen it. But I can understand, excuse me, I can understand why many people believe that it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't great either. And it should have had Shazam in it. It should have. But they wanted to make it about Black Adam because The Rock wanted Black Adam. He did not want Shazam in it. That was one of the things that really hurt the DC universe. It did. I'm not going to lie about that. And I'm still a DC fan. But you can see what I'm talking about. You think, if anyone sees this and say he doesn't understand, really, look at the track record of WWE. Yes, they made money, but did it really help the company? If it helped the company so greatly, why isn't WWE... I know people are going to complain about this and say, dude, you don't understand. Yes, I do. We are talking about, understand this correctly, we are talking about a company that was run by a guy who originally was just a regular wrestler who came in and out of TNA. He said it himself. He left, he came back, he left, he came back. He was known for decades in TNA. He eventually became basically the president of the company, given this position by the CEO of Anthem. He said he can make it work with his partner. I can't remember the other guy that he was working with. And they did it. They managed to gain enough interest in people to want to start watching again. But let's make this clear, and we still don't know if he's done something naughty, because it looks way too much like it's not that he did something naughty. It was that once TNA really began to become highly popular, that they're beginning to go positive. Because remember, Impact Wrestling gets a certain budget from Anthem. Now, if they were making more money than the budget they were getting, because if we were running red all the time, the only thing they had to do was get rid of him, Scott D'Amore, get someone else, if he wasn't doing a good job. But the wrestler said he was doing a good job. The fans were saying he was doing a good job. He had the money to try and get CM Punk and Will Ospreay. Was it a maximum offer they would take? No, but if he had saved enough from all the work they did through merchandise, through ticket sales, through pay-per-views, through the Fightful app and the Impact Plus app, not even talking about YouTube, because remember, YouTube also had them on there too. Not just the app, but YouTube also was getting some good stuff from it. They made their own money. And the CEO wants to take it in a different direction because he thinks now it's becoming profitable. He wants to go even more profitable, as I've been saying with Ari Emanuel What have I been saying when it comes to WWE? And what did I say about what would happen if Vince was removed from the executive chairman position? They will throw somebody there you don't know can actually handle it. And who's in that position now? The Rock is now a member of the board of directors, and it's already been realizing. I've heard just Alex's take, and he's pissed. He's sick and tired of everyone chewing out The Rock. Now, mind you, I'm saying this myself. He's right. There shouldn't be death threats against Ava Raine. That's stupid. Anyone who says Ava is evil and The Rock is evil and they deserve to die is stupid. They're not wrestling fans. They're just stupid people that don't give a fuck. They just want to say stuff and have things done to people because they don't give a fuck about life. But anyone who purposely, well, not purposely, how can I say this? Anyone who can see the situation and see the purpose behind what Rock wanted, because it's already been reported that Rock wanted WrestleMania 41 with Roman this year when it should have been done last year. And just Alex couldn't stand the fact that people chewed him out because he kept changing his opinion. Because that's what this is, his video. I've seen both of them. He did one video a couple of days ago. He just did a video now complaining about how the fans are treating The Rock and how he was treated. You changed your opinion. Honestly, he went from, I want both of them to do it. I want both nights. Night 1, Roman Reigns and Cody, and then Rock and Roman Reigns. He should have stuck with that instead of when it was finally found out that Rock was going to now, supposedly, that was on SmackDown, going to do it. Instead of saying, I'm so happy about this, it's going to be great. No, what did he do? He pissed off the fans by actually saying, and this is Alex himself, it was boring. Who cares about Cody? Another time, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He was trying to justify his wish. The only thing he had to do was just act respectful to his own fans. It wasn't the fact that he said he'd rather see Rock versus Roman. If he had said that in the beginning, that would be no problem. It would just be disagreed with. But first, he said, I want both nights. Then he says he wants to Rock. Then he says, oh, I don't give a damn about Cody even having his moment. It don't matter. It's boring. Which he still says over and over again. It's boring. How do you think your fans are going to perceive what you just said? You can say, I didn't like the storyline. That's all you had to say. But you're saying it's boring. With an attitude. I'm not surprised people chewed his ass out. And in most cases, many people are saying it's what he deserves. I'm not like that, but I'm telling you, the attitude he gave is what pissed off the people that have been bothering him. Not that he said it, it was how he said it. He didn't have to say, oh, it's boring. I don't want to be, oh, now it's interesting because The Rock is involved. Dude, you could say that, but you didn't have to say it's so freaking boring. I don't want to see the stupidness. It's been boring since last year. Didn't he say that story was great last year? Go check his own videos before it even supposedly started getting boring with Cody. It was near what? October? Last year he was still saying Cody's story has to be done. Near Survivor Series. Really? All of a sudden within 4 months you're bored with it. Or were you bored all of the entire year? You flipped too many times. If you just stuck with one thing and at least had not had an attitude when he got his way, nobody would bother him. But this is what we got right now. When you see JD's video, I suggest you go watch it. Of course, he's a bigger YouTube promote. Well, JD's bigger than me. It's cool. He's a New Yorker like me, and we both smell shit. Let's make this clear. He's a New Yorker like I am. I may not have as great a sense as a New Yorker because I'm a very shy, quiet kind of guy. And even though he cranks his personality up to 11, you can see that he does have a strong personality. Doesn't mean he's crazy all the time, but as they say, you guys on Podcasts, you have to give a much more noisy persona. Now, with me, I don't do it that well. What you see is what you get. But me and JD can smell shit from a mile away, and this just doesn't smell right. Why would they get rid of him when there's no proof, no one's saying anything, and any reports are not saying that the wrestlers hated his work in the back when it wasn't true? The Zoom calls from Gail Kim and Tommy Dreamer all are concerned. Every wrestler on the roster, not even talking about the production truck or the production crew, the crew who puts up all of the equipment, the ring and everything, and not even talking about the people who sell some merchandise at the arenas. All of them had to be notified. They all must be like, what the fuck are we dealing with? And now we got Cilion, I believe his name is Cilion, and we have no idea. He doesn't know wrestling. Working on the score for what? How long was the score? 2 years, 3 at the most? And it didn't even revolve around being at an arena. Being there to be a commentator like Corey Graves, or when it comes to Michael Cole, at least they know the business, even if Corey Graves can't wrestle anymore. Michael Cole has been reporting it for years. He understands the business. Did this guy go to the arenas? Did he get in the ring? Did he help set up the ring? Did he do any commentary? Did he actually work the production truck? No. He was just at the score listening to them talk and making sure they stay on schedule so they don't go too far outside the time that the score was working. So this is what we got. And as I've said already, at least to one person, I don't know if Cilion, if that's his name, is going to try and run this company and run it like it's a business, not a wrestling promotion, a business. Where you look right now, the only reason that supposedly, if it's true, that Roman is facing Cody, that's if, because they can change it at any time. The stuff there says subject to change. When it comes to the card, it's always subject to change. They can rearrange that mess to be a triple threat, a fatal four-way, or whatever. They can change it. We don't know what's going on with WWE, but I do know that Ari did what he did. It wasn't The Rock who made that choice. No. Being on the board of directors does not mean that Rock is going to do that. The Rock got backlash. Triple H saw the backlash. They had to tell Ari. Ari, and probably members of the board, said, do what you got to do to make this work. Not that we leave it in your hands. No. Ari allowed The Rock to want to be Roman versus Rock. We know this is true. He wanted it this year, Rock. Not next year, not last year, this year. We know it. Ari allowed him to do it, not because he is The Rock. It's because he's a member of the board. They had to pay him $30 million to join, and one of the stipulations is he wants to work with Roman. And then it didn't work, and all the backlash. And they had to go to Ari next to Triple H and say, okay, what's the deal? Ari, see it like this. Nick, Rock, Triple H, and Ari had to be in a call together, and they all compared the notes. And Ari probably said, do what you got to do to make this work. We need to make it work. We want the money. We want to make this work. This is what we're going to do. Make it work. That's what he told them all. Not The Rock just deciding he's going to do it. It's about Ari telling them, I'm going to make it work. You see this guy who's now the new president. He's being told by the CEO, make it work the way we want it to work. So now, if they're going to start funneling wrestlers into TV shows and movies, what does that do for TNA? That's going to be the big question. If it's a lot like WWE Studios, Anthem Entertainment will get more out of it than TNA will. Or the pro wrestlers. Doesn't mean TNA will get anything out of it. But it's still early days. We don't know yet. And I'm going to be watching every show when I can. And if it's crap, I'm going to tell you. If anybody says, oh, give the guy a chance. If the guy was doing exactly like everyone was saying, that he's going to leave it to Gail Kim and Tommy Dreamer and the creative team, How come you're saying give the guy a chance when he's not the one who's supposed to be doing creative? I hope you enjoy this. It's going to be released literally. It's now Sunday. It's going to be released in the next couple of minutes once I edit it. Peace.